Paul
All right, let's
Hughes.
go.
I mean, the future and the present of Irish MMA right here in the flesh. January 25th. Does it get any bigger? Usman Nurmagomedov, the lightweight championship. Paul, this fight has gone from pretty awesome on paper to like on fire the last couple weeks. How are you feeling it on your end?
It's right, man. It feels right. This is what I envisioned when I came here to the PFL. I really did think that I could change the game and change the promotion with my performances and with the hype that I bring. And that's exactly what's happened here with this Usman fight. You know, that fight was teed up for a long time to be him versus AJ. And, you know, could you just imagine it was him versus AJ right now? Would just not be on the same pedestal that it is. But
It
that's what
might
I
not.
bring to the table.
No, certainly you've upgraded the buzz, the hype, and you've done a lot in a short time in the mixed martial arts space. 13-1, the upset of AJ McKee. Let's go right there. I mean, you didn't just upset him, you handled him, you knocked him down, you made the bigger moments in that fight. For any of us that weren't following you fight by fight, it may have been a surprise. Did any of that success surprise you? I mean, obviously, you have to know AJ McKee's a world renowned fighter, but you made it look like you belong and then some against him.
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest, everything that happened in that fight is kind of what we thought was going to happen in terms of how I implemented my game plan, the shots that I seen beforehand, which I then, as I say, implemented. My team were fully confident. I recall an interview that both of my coaches done the week before the fight, and it was just the exact same as how I speak. They had zero doubt in their minds that I was going to go out and smash them, and it's exactly what I did.
Wow. Wow. Was there any moment in there that turned out easier than you thought?
Um, No, I wouldn't say it. Easy definitely wouldn't be the word, especially against someone like AJ. I had to be on my game entirely and I had to, as I say, implement my game plan early. But thankfully, that's what I'm best at doing. I'm best at performing when it matters.
You did have one pro loss back in 2020, which was a close decision loss. You end up avenging it. You look back on that. Did you need that? I mean, sometimes fighters say that, man, I wouldn't be where I am today without going through that. How had that process worked out for you?
To be honest, if I'm being honest, I didn't see it as a loss. I really thought that that fight was very clearly a victory for me. So when the decision did get called out, of course, first of all, I was annoyed, but I do remember just the feeling the next day of you won that fight. But I mean, of course, it gave me a lot of motivation whenever I rematched Jordan to like put the nail in the coffin. But that's exactly what I did. I mean, 50-43 in some of the scorecards, absolutely undeniable. And perhaps we can see something like that next week as well.
We'll see this. I mean, Usman Nurmagomedov is certainly one of the best in the world. You already know that. When you look at this matchup, what excites you the most in terms of plying your craft against somebody who's yet to really show us too many holes in his game?
What excites me is to be honest, the entire event, the entire spectacle, the fact that to be if I'm being honest, I don't think Usman has been in a position of a high pressure fight before. I don't think any of his other fights have had this hype. I don't think they've had this magnitude. And I think that the crowd that I'm going to bring to Dubai here, he'll not have experienced an atmosphere like that. And that kind of changes things. Like these big nights and these big atmospheres, they change things. And thankfully, I've had many nights like this, and that's a good callus of mine that I've already experienced, and I've always came out on top. I think it's going to be slightly different for him being in there against myself, especially whenever I start walking him down. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Look, this matchup has gone from Hughes versus Nurmagomedov to Irish MMA versus Dagestan MMA to, in some ways, Connor versus Khabib because of the two, sides altogether. Does any of that distract for you from the fight itself, or do you think it adds to the spectacle of it all?
It definitely doesn't distract me. I think it definitely just is. It's very good for marketing, if you ask me.
When you hear Khabib say the comments he did, putting the levels of MMA between the two countries, how do you sort of sit back and look at that? It's become nice fodder for us in the podcasting and headline writing game, and everyone's chirping in. But do you think there is a real debate there in terms of which nation's MMA produces the better fighters?
Well, I think right now he's actually right with the talent that Dagestan has been producing. I think we're a little bit behind and we have some catching up to do. And that's exactly, I plan to start that catch up next week. I plan to make it one each for Ireland versus Dagestan. And then in the future, maybe make it 2-1, 3-1, 4-1. We'll see.
Were you surprised at all that Khabib, who can be stoic as a coach, great ex-champion, was kind of throwing that bait out there to the media like that?
Um, can't say I was surprised. I think that's just his general thought processes. It just was caught on camera, I guess. So good for marketing.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm surprised about, Paul. I had a chance to sit down with Usman Nurmagomedov last week, and I tee up to him my exact thoughts. This is the toughest matchup of his career, and I mean, to his credit as a public figure, I guess he laughed at it, said, "Tough fight. Why would this be a tough fight? Who is this guy beating? Oh, AJ McKee, he's nothing. He's small." I was surprised that Usman would take such a cocky stance, which I hadn't heard from him before. Did any of that surprise you?
I mean, I sincerely hope that that is his mindset because that absolutely plays well for me. So if that's how he thinks, then let him think that. That's music to my ears.
I mean, he's saying you have literally no chance to defeat him, which is something I didn't expect to hear.
I think that I'm actually going to make it look easy against him, to be completely honest. I think he's 100% going to be unconscious within the 5 rounds, no question. And if he isn't, I know that I can beat him over five, 100%. So look, I'm extremely confident. If he's overlooking me, that's nice. I like to hear that.
Paul, what makes you different? Because you're doing so much so early, but you don't need to go around saying Paul Hughes is the best. You're very calm and cool. We don't see fighters step up to this level so quickly and just look like they belong like this. How do you sort of put into words what separates you from the average fighter in the same spot as you?
I really think that I just am different. I think that I am one of the best in the world right now. I thought that a year ago before I'd even fought or even thought about where my next steps were going to be when I was still fighting regionally. I knew deep down that the potential that I have and the drive that I have is just indistinguishable. And thankfully now I'm getting these opportunities with PFL and the platform with PFL to showcase my skills, which I've done in the last, 7 months now since I had my first fight. It's about to be, yeah, it'll be 7 months, 3 fights, and I'll have taken this shit over. So that's what makes me different.
A lot of belief there. I certainly could respect that. Recent news involving the PFL seems to be some changes for the new year, moving away from the Bellator tagging, which had been surrounding this title fight, which almost kind of makes this fight feel like the title is, I guess, upgraded in some degree. How do you sort of feel about the promotion entering 2025, knowing that it's in a great spot to compete against everybody else, but it seems like there's some quick changes being made to put the promotion's best foot forward now?
Yeah, look, I think they're evolving at the PFL. I think they're making really good decisions. I personally like the new structure. I think that at the end of the day, the fans want to see the biggest fights and the most entertaining fights. Myself versus Usman is that, and the fans will now have the opportunity next year to have more like he should fight him rather than just the strict global season. So, and they still are going to have a tournament. I think it's a great product. It's good to have that as well. So it's very exciting.
But let's say you get your hand raised. Let's say you accomplish your goal of beating Usman Nurmagomedov, grabbing that lightweight title. What would that say about you, where you stand against the best 155ers in the world?
I think it's no question that I'd be considered in the top five. I think there's really no debate in that. Especially when I knock him out, I think that gives me a good standing of really good wins from AJ to then Usman. I think that puts me in a really good position. And as I said to you just a minute ago, I do believe that I am right up there. I believed that quite a long time ago, and now I'm just getting the opportunity to just prove it to everybody.
I mean, you start to look at yourself in some ways as a face of this brand and eventually, maybe the face?
When I knock Usman out, I will be the face of PFL. Absolutely, no question.
Love it. Love it. Love the confidence here. Quickly on Usman's game. Obviously, you've got a certain level of respect for it. You know what you're getting in there against. What are you getting in there against? What does he bring to the table that has made him so successful up to this point?
I mean, he is obviously world class, comes from MMA royalty. He's going to be training with some of the best athletes in the world every single day. He's 18-0, he's undefeated. He's the champ. He's defended the belt many times. He doesn't really have a reason to doubt himself. And to be honest, I think that he's at a position now where he probably feels like, I'm too big for this promotion. I've defended the belt loads of times. There's some chopping and changing going on. Do I want to be PFL champion, this or that? I think that's where my advantage is, to be completely honest. Truthfully, I think he is slightly overlooking me, and that is going to be to his demise because he has not fought anybody that's like me. Absolutely no question. There is nobody he has fought that can fight like me. And next week, we get to see that.
Paul, do you think he's either on the level or on the road to be on the same level as the iron sharpening iron teammates that he's around when you consider he's got access to Khabib, Islam Makhachev, Umar Nurmagomedov? Do you consider Usman on their level?
Yeah, absolutely. No question. He's on the same level.
Yeah, wow. This is going to be a great one here. January 25th. Can watch it here in the States on the Max app. It is Road to Dubai. And maybe some big news coming through once again. Paul, thank you for your time, man. Great chatting with you. Best of luck. This is one of the best fights the sport can produce this calendar year. I'm fired up for it.
Appreciate it, Brian. Good to catch up.